Our athletes have also been warned against wearing team uniforms or colours outside the village. And with the Israel-Hamas war causing extremely high tension, officials are on high alert just in case of a potential terrorist attack. Joining me now, a man who knows all this all too well, Neil Fergus, leading international security expert and CEO of Intelligent Risks. Neil, you've been a security consultant, I think now for, 11 summer and winter Olympic Games, including Paris. You're in Paris. How concerned are the authorities, mate? Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Steve. The authorities are taking this incredibly seriously, as you'd expect. The amount of personnel that are deployed on the streets is unprecedented. And given the ambitious plan for the opening ceremony that you referred to, Steve, we've got over 60,000 security personnel being deployed for the opening ceremony. 45,000 police, several thousand military, and 8,000 to 10,000 contracted security. Total, over 60,000, which at some major event opening ceremonies, well, that would be more than how many spectators are in there. So they are not being sanguine or complacent at all. The game is on.
Is this the biggest security operation you've seen, Neil?
Yes. Didn't think I'd see much bigger than Athens because the security environment there pre-games was awful. And it absolutely required a major international effort. Here, there is a major international effort, but the French, of course, are extremely experienced, skilled and experienced. So they've brought everybody in that they need. They've cancelled all the leave. They've cancelled all the training programs. And they have some support from 20 other police forces, in fact, over 20 police forces within Europe. We also have an enormous plainclothes presence out on the streets in central Paris. And to your intro again, Steve, major concerns about protests? Yeah, of course, because it's the biggest event on the planet. Every issue-motivated group has thought about or is going to try to exploit it for publicity for their cause. And that has a major problem, but not so much for security, but for logistics and transport around a city which is already somewhat tested transport-wise.
You know this all too well. I had a little bit of a look back on the history of terror attacks in France, and you don't have to go back far. 2015, Charlie Hebdo. You had the November 2015 attack inside Bataclan. I was on radio the day that happened. I think I spoke to you. 131 dead there. Down in Nice, you had the 2016 cargo truck used as a weapon to drive into crowds. That was on Bastille Day. 86 dead. I go on and on and on. But as you say, the French are aware of how they need to handle these sorts of potential threats, aren't they?
Yep, and there have been, I'll call them terrorist conspiracies, but that needs some qualification. There have been 8 terrorist conspiracies thwarted by French authorities this year. A couple of them, just to keep them in perspective, were youths who were circulating anti-Semitic or racially vilification messages on social media and urging some degree of violence. But it goes all the way from that level to an extreme level where an individual blew himself up in a hotel room up near Charles de Gaulle Airport, making an improvised explosive device. While he was severely burnt, he is alive. He's in the hands of police authorities. And I understand that he is starting to cooperate about other people who were working with him, but supporting him in his agenda.
We don't want to alarm people too much. I mean, plenty of Australians are headed to Paris. They're already there. My own eldest daughter is going to be in Paris from the weekend on. What advice would you give to me to give to my daughter about how to keep yourself safe when you get to the Olympic Games? What would you tell them not to do?
Well, really good question, Steve, and we're seeing Aussies everywhere, and this is going to be a fantastic Games. I'm pretty confident. They should take some comfort in the incredibly overt police presence, including military and specialists. Stay in the public spaces. The thing that's most likely, unfortunately, to impact Aussies visiting these games is the petty crime. Just be aware of the surroundings. It's absolutely important. And on the metro, be particularly careful. That's where the police are constantly saying there are pickpocket gangs. They're not all French either. I mean, they've come from other parts of Europe because they know this is the place to be in Europe over the summer. There's over 1 million visitors coming in. It's extraordinary, and it should be great.
Yeah, my own advice to myself always is don't spend much time hanging around train stations or airports. Get in and out of those places quickly. Just finally, I note Adam Mears has told our
Eddie
athletes...
Maguire's,
yes.
Eddie Maguire said the other day, don't forget, nothing good ever happened after 1 o'clock in the morning.
Well, that's a very good point too. Just briefly on the uniforms, the athletes have been told not to wear their colours. I guess that's sensible.
Yes, I think it's just, and the same with people who got accreditation around their neck without the team uniforms. You just put a bit of a marker on yourself using the public transport, as you have to do with any of these pickpocket gangs. It just makes good sense.
A great pleasure to catch up. Thank you very much, Neil Fergus.
Always a pleasure, Steve. Thank you.